How's it going, everybody? The Depends fan club president, otherwise known as Nova Online, has had a rough last couple of weeks. You see, we could start from the beginning, but no, we're going to get to the good stuff first, because some recent drops happened that were pretty disturbing. You know, some of the stuff is hilarious, but mildly disturbing as well. And I'm definitely stealing this from a viewer, because honestly, it's so true at this point. You guys probably saw it in the thumbnail or the title. I'm not sure which yet, but Nova Online, when he discovered his passion for diapers, he was like, I want my mother to change me again. You know, we're starting from the beginning now. Someone in my comment section said, I'm not sure that Nova Online is using Geno Samuel's Chris Chan doc as a warning sign. I actually think they're using it as a roadmap. And now, guys, it might be 100% true. Like, this might be actually what Nova's doing. We always thought Nova was watching Chris Chan to learn from it, watching Cyrax to like, okay, don't do this, don't do that. And we knew he watched tophiachu because he likes to laugh along with us tophiachu. I'm not sure why that's one of his pleasures, but it is. I mean, Nova Online even did a podcast mainly about Daniel Larson, so you would think he would pick up a few things to not do, but Nova Online just doesn't do that. He wants to be exactly like these people. They're his mentor. Like, why else do you think Nova Online loves Harry Potter so much? King Cobra JFS, a far superior Lolcow, loves it as well. Why do you think Nova Online loves playing Fortnite? Just like his big uncle Andrew Ditch, they both love playing Fortnite with people of questionable age. It's what he does. It's the way Nova Online works. And as I read you guys some of these Quora posts, you guys are going to discover, like, there was a theory that we all had that Nova Online was like, he was really getting into the dirt when he was a younger age, and he was really getting into it, because think about it, Nova Online's like 20, 21, yeah, he just turned 21 years old, and his mind is already this corrupted. And as we read these posts, you're going to understand, like, man, Nova Online's been cooked for a very long time. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention that, you know, throughout this video, we're going to look at some of the stuff I missed about Nova Online through the last couple of weeks, but we're going to do it in like a reverse order. We're going to start with the new stuff and finish with the older stuff, but we also have some very tragic news that we're just going to go ahead and get out of the way, because I think this person, the only good person in the Nova Online saga, deserves to go ahead of Nova Online, his unfortunate nephew. That's Uncle Drew. Uncle Drew unfortunately passed here recently. Nova Online told us about it, and Nova, you know, he's been pretty quiet since then, which is understandable. He's made a few posts here and there, and I also think he did a stream here recently as well. So Nova Online really hasn't taken much of a break, but it's affecting him hard, or at least that's what he says. And it's just so crazy how time passes, and Nova Online throughout his entire history has always trashed on Uncle Drew. Every single time he made a post about him, he was like dunking on him in some way, shape, or form. And it mainly started around 2016, 2018, probably when Nova discovered TikTok and was able to have these opinions and other people shared them with them, and they also corrupted his mind to make him think that his family wasn't no good. And that's a part of the reason Nova spends so much time on Discords. He pushed his family away, and he just sits there and talks to people he shouldn't now. In fact, some of the last text messages Uncle Drew and Nova had was Uncle Drew telling him, hey look, I'm sick of this crap. Nova, you know how to be a man. Me and your dad taught you every single day of your life what you should be doing. You just didn't listen to us, and you got into all this weird crap, and now look where you are. Look what's happened, Nova. You got people texting me day and night telling me things that you said about me. I'm not even really upset at them. I'd rather they not text me, but why are you doing this to me? Out of all the things I've ever done for you in your life, Nova, and this is how you're going to treat me? And honestly, guys, it really is insane that this is the way Nova decided to treat his uncle. For years, it seems like they were trying to correct Nova's behavior, but he just wouldn't listen. Like, let's go ahead and take a look at the first Quora post that we can find from Nova Online, at least one of the funny ones, because this doesn't seem like much at first, but it evolves, guys, just trust me. So the first thing we see Nova post is, How can you remove a virus during a factory reset? And okay, Nova Online just got a virus on his phone, no big deal. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've never got a virus on my phone, not once, not that I can think of at least while I'm recording this. So, that's a little odd. We don't know what it's for. We'll just take it as it is right now. We're not gonna say that Nova Online was potentially watching creepy stuff yet. But then we go on to the next post. My daughter just found out I secretly monitor her entire phone and is very upset. In response, I took away her phone and grounded her because I fear she is hiding some things from me. Is this the right thing to do? Now, this is a question someone else asked and Nova Online responded to. He tells them, I am having a similar situation. I think you aren't doing the right thing. First, you can install an app called Fourth Field and secretly monitor her phone. Just make sure it's hidden from your cellular device. With Fourth Field, you can manage apps, get notified when new app is downloaded, monitor YouTube, and their app usage. Nova Online, he's really figured this out already. And the only way Nova Online knows about this is because his mom caught him up and she put some safety blocks on his phone because she knew what was up already. Nova Online is not a discreet person. And could you imagine Nova Online getting caught up like that? We see how Nova is in just a regular situation, pent up, all kinds of anxious energy just waiting to be unleashed, but it never does. Anytime he makes a peep, it's just in a loud shrill. Basically every time I start making a Nova Online video, he lets out a noise that just hits me right in my soul, just right in there. Just knowing that his mom had to put all of these safety apps is kind of hilarious, and then it gets kind of disturbing once we read more of these posts. So we'll go on to the next one, where Nova Online, this is also another reason that his phone had some parental guidance on it. In this message, Nova Online just puts out a post saying, I used to have a principal who was very strict. He once threatened to call the cops on me because of an email. What should I do? Well, Nova Online, what kind of email are you sending your principal? Yeah, principals can make you mad, but what could you possibly say to him? I've been in arguments with my past principals about dumb things, but I've never almost got in trouble over or they sent it anything anywhere. That sounds insane, especially coming from someone like Nova Online. His principal was probably about to open it up thinking, oh, I've got a very long worded essay coming my way, and it was just a bunch of threats potentially. That's all I can imagine. And he's like, man, I should do something about this, but it's Nova Online. At this time, he was only co-president of the Depends Club, and the principal was like, I'm not too worried about it. So he let it slide. But Nova, what you should do next time is when you're raging so bad or you're about to have a meltdown, you don't type out like a letter to your superior, your principal, who could get you in a lot of trouble and potentially expel you, make your mom despise you, make your family question who you are. You eventually did that anyways, but you could have been something else, around this time. But anyhow, make your mom despise you, make your family question who you are. You eventually did that anyways, but you could have been something else, around this time. But anyhow, we'll move on to, the next post. It says, I am 17 and my parents are going to kick me out on my 18th birthday in August to make me homeless. What do? I don't have a driver's license or a bank account. My parents say that I cannot find a job, but that I am free to do so once I leave. So Nova Online answers this question, and it's just so funny, guys. Nova, just in such a backhanded way, says, you should have planned this beforehand. Most people would plan this ahead of time beforehand. Nova is the worst planner in the world. Here's what you should do. Find an apartment before you're 18. Same guy who, when he's 21, is panicking because he doesn't know where he's going to go if his mom kicks him out over $900. But he's just telling this person when he has no real life experience at all. Nova Online barely hung out with people, and as you're going to see later in this video, whenever he did, he just creeped them out. Why would you even try to inform this person? I hope they didn't listen to you and this is just a meme post on Quora that Nova Online thought was real. But still yet, Nova Online wouldn't do any of this, and in his future, not only would he not follow any of these rules, he would completely fumble them. He would do the exact opposite and get himself in such a mess if his mom wouldn't help him out, and his uncle Drew, which unfortunately is no longer capable. Hopefully his aunt, which we know, I think his aunt and Nova had a slightly better relationship than him and Drew. So like now he's got to rely on his aunt now, nobody else if things go wrong in his house. And after this next post, things might be a little strange in the Nova household because Nova asks on Quora, how do I convince my mom I want to be put back in diapers at 17? Well, I'm going to tell you how, Nova. You don't. That thought shouldn't even creep in your head, but the fact that it did, like once it happens, you go, you take a long hot shower and you completely rethink your life. You decide maybe I should move out, you know, find something else to do, get off the internet for a long time because something along the line messed me up a little bit. But no, Nova Online, he just continues on with this degenerate thought of his. He gets so far, he's like, I gotta tell my mom I want back in these diapers. Now you guys may be reading this and thinking, well, I guess he just wants to be put back in diapers. Yeah, that's pretty weird, but you're not understanding the context just yet. Nova Online just isn't saying that he wants his mom to get him diapers again. He's saying he wants his mom to put his diapers on him. And now you might be saying, you're reading into that a little too much. I'm not sure about that. And I was in the same boat until I seen the interview that Solidus Nova did over on his Twitter page that kind of gives us some proof that this is what Nova is into, that there's some weird things going on in his head and not just the stuff we knew about a week ago. It's getting worse somehow, people, because this former friend of Nova's, who at the time when they were hanging out was of a questionable age because of course, said that Nova was constantly trying to get her to play the mommy so he could regress back into his baby form and she could just take care of him because her voice was so consoling to him. And I'm not going to explain much to you about it right now. Let's just go ahead and watch the interview.
So what happened was that I was friends with him for almost 3 years, or like about 3 years. So I was 14 turning 15 when I became friends with him, and he used to play Fortnite on Twitch. He doesn't use Twitch anymore, but he had a Twitch account. And I used to play Fortnite with him. Like, he would invite me to play. And we were playing Fortnite. And he asked me, hey, can I have your Discord so, like, I can text you better? And I was like, okay, cool. And the only time he would text me is just to hop on Fortnite. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And this is before I saw, like, the weird stuff about him or whatever. And I was like, okay, whatever, right? Fast forward. He like got, I guess, like that account, I don't know what happened to it, but he got a new account. And I added him on this new account because he told me to. And then he wasn't talking to me. He was low-key like telling me, oh, my life, I hate my life, blah blah, but then he wouldn't respond to what I was saying to him. That's why I was wrong. And usually he wouldn't respond. But that day he was like, oh, it's just the trolls and stuff. And they're saying mean things about me. And I was like, why? Like, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, they're saying I talk to little kids. And I was like, they think you talk to little kids? Like, what? And he was like, yeah, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, it's going to be okay. Like, everything's going to be better. I promise, blah, blah, blah. And everything's going to be okay. I know, blah, blah, blah. It'll be okay. And he'd be like, oh, thank you. And then he wanted me to join a voice call. And I never joined a voice call with this guy besides only like voice chat and Fortnite. And he was talking to me and he was like, I'm sad. I wish I had a hug. I wish I could hug you. And I was like, really? Oh, okay. And then I'd be like, yeah, but how old was I? Like 16? I was like 16. And I was like, oh, I'm 16. And he was like, well, I'm not being weird, am I? And I was like, no, it's just a little. And so, like, that was happening. And he was telling me, like, oh, you're making me regress. And I was like, what's regress? And he was like, oh, it's where I just go back to the state of being a little kid. You make me feel like I want to be a little kid again. And I was like, why? And he's like, because you're such a mommy. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, you're such a mommy. You do this and you do that. And you comfort me when I'm sad. And I was like, well, I'm just being a friend. And he was like, yeah, but it's more than that. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And I was like, wait, all of this makes sense, like with the diapers. And when he would talk to me, he would use like the baby voice. Right? And so I went on a rabbit hole and I was like, wait, so the guy that I consider a friend actually is not doing, like, he's a weirdo? I was curious. So I was asking because I seen videos about his binky and I was like, oh, let me just ask. And I was like, do you have a binky? I think I've seen a video about it. And he was like, all these people, they say that I have binkies, blah, blah, blah. I don't. And I was like, do you? And he's like, well, I do. And so he showed me his binky and he said that he like sucking on it, reminds him of being a baby. Or he like would hold a stuffed animal and he would turn on his camera and be like, I wish it was you. I wish it was you. And I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. Like, I'm getting uncomfortable. And I was telling him I was getting uncomfortable. He was like, you think I'm a weirdo? You think I do this? You think I do that?
Isn't that crazy, people? We cover a lot of ironic people on this channel. Tophiachu, every time she steps up to bat, she normally runs home with it just about every time. But apparently Nova Online won the Lolcow award for the most ironic event in 2024, and we didn't even know about it. He's the true king snake of the Lolcowdom. Get out of here, DSP. The Lolcowdom Kingdom doesn't need someone like you. Go be a pig roach somewhere else, because Nova Online, he tricked us all. When we was all saying, Nova, you need to get off Discord. Every time you do, you talk to people of questionable age. No one's really accusing you of anything. There's like mountains of proof that Nova Online has done creepy stuff on Discord. So what does Nova do? Well, he goes to one of the people he knows who is 16, and I'm pretty sure Nova is 19, 20 at this time, and it's like, oh my goodness, can you believe people are saying all this stuff about me as I do the same thing they're accusing me of? This is absolutely ridiculous. Now, will you sit there and console me in your voice as I regress into my baby stage? And we all know that this is a very weird thing that Nova Online does. It's not something he just does casually, regressing into a baby state. This is something he likes. And it's also very concerning now that we know potentially Nova Online wanted his mom to put his diapers on him when he's 18 years old, 17, 18, and now he's like calling this girl a mommy figure to him. He wants to be babied by her. Does this not like to everyone else like ring some bells, like some Chris Chan bells? Like, this is worse when Chris Chan was telling his mom that she used to do that more flirtingly when she was like getting away from his hug. This is a far weirder thing to tell somebody, because where does this come from, Nova? You and your mom have plenty of problems, but I didn't see this coming. Chris Chan is not someone you want to emulate. I don't care if it brings you notoriety online and you think this is the only way you can grasp it. You have to cut and run at this point, Nova, because your trajectory is not looking good at the moment. I mean, Nova was in such a tough spot, he decided he wanted to ask Quora about his problems. As you can see right here, Nova asked Quora, TikTok is attempting to dox me. Falsely accused me of crimes I didn't commit. How do I stop this? And it's funny that Nova leaves out all the important details, especially just saying it's TikTok as a whole, so people can't like precisely figure out what he's done. And you know, most of the people, if they would have answered it, would have just been like, just get off Discord and get a job, Nova Online. But now we're going to move on to another person who claims to have been in contact with Nova Online. And not just in contact, but went to the same school and was in the same choir program as him. And at first, I was like writing this off. I was like, it's probably fake. And then I did a little bit of research and found that this girl, or at least a girl who looks extremely similar to her, and Nova, like definitely Nova Online, have a picture together. And then I looked through her comments and seen that a bunch of people were like, oh my gosh, that was Nova Online? Oh yeah, that is him. That's crazy. And I checked their profiles and it seemed like they were from the same area as Nova. So still take this with a grain of salt, because some of the things she was saying just seem a little bit outlandish, but it's Nova Online. And we've got some things that's happened here recently that kind of give credit to her story as well, even as ridiculous as it is. And still yet, take this with a little bit of grain of salt, and let's see someone else who says they knew Nova Online in the past.
I think we all know who Nova is, this weirdo. I went to middle school with him, and all my friends have been telling me to make a video about it, so here we are. Just to clear off some suspicions, no, he was not a band kid, he was a choir kid. I was in the select choir. It was an all-girls choir. You had to audition for it. It was only for the 8th graders, and he was not happy that he wasn't in it. So he made his own choir outside of school and invited a whole bunch of girls that were in the select choir and the regular, like, extracurricular choir. He invited a whole bunch of us over to his house with an invitation that said, you have to be comfortable using exercise machines for music videos. I at this point hadn't even asked my mom because he had been pressuring me over and over again at school, telling me like, do you have an answer yet? Do you have an answer yet? So I just told him yes to get out of it. I didn't end up going, so I have no idea what happened like there. But he wanted us to use exercise machines for a music video because he wanted to sing Total Eclipse of the Heart. And he was very, very mad at me for not going. And he made it very obvious. He was telling people that he was really mad at me, and then I stabbed him in the back. But that was short-lived because in middle school we had a thing called Friday sharing. And it was, you'd put your name on the list, and on Friday we would go through the list, and when your name was up, you got to perform. And I was somehow in the select choir and the extracurricular choir at the same time, like different periods. So I was there in class, and he comes up and he asks like 5 or 6 of us to go up to the front of the class with him, and we're like, okay. This dude proceeds to sing Love Me Like You Do by Elle Goulding and basically Magic Mike like lap dance that shit. And our teacher had to stop it because we were all uncomfortable. We all were just sitting there like, he was also really touchy, like with girls. I cannot tell you a single girl that I went to middle school with that was not uncomfortable around him because he was always like grabbing you, feeling you some other way. This video haunts my dreams. This was my 7th grade choir concert, like spring choir.
I don't think any of us thought Nova Online was a band kid. He might have used a flute in a similar fashion to the girl in American Pie, but definitely didn't know how to play a single instrument. We all knew Nova Online was a choir kid. We all knew it because he's basically a choir kid on TikTok nowadays, or is that just what he pursues? No, he's definitely a choir kid when he's not doing food reviews, and it's just about as bad. A 0 out of 10 experience, no Dr. Pepper in sight, because nowadays it's just a bunch of Smirnoff and stuff like that. And these people, they're lucky they didn't encounter Nova in this day and age, because who knows what he'd be like now if he didn't get so socially ostracized and people wouldn't talk to him anymore, if he still had some sort of friend group and he was drinking with them, and he used to be a very touchy person and had so much confidence, was able to go in front of class and basically do a Magic Mike routine. Now I definitely think she's exaggerating it to be funny, but Nova Online, he may have went in front of the class and did some sort of weird dance. I mean, we seen on his Discord that he did twerk for his audience. Now that was like 4 or 5 people that he got extremely weird with every single night, so I'm not sure if it's the same, but you know, it could be. But back to what I was saying, if Nova had that kind of confidence right now in the arc he's headed towards, we would be in a lot of trouble. The man would be a true menace. But guys, I guess that's enough for me today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like, head over to Twitter, follow Solidus Nova, come back over here, leave a comment, subscribe, or vice versa. Do it in whatever order you want. But either way, you guys have a good one.